There's a police copter circling. They found me.
Ginger Runner.
What is up, everybody? Ethan Newberry, the Ginger Runner, here for another gingerrunner.com review. Today we are going back to Brooks. I am reviewing the PureGrit 5. This is the 5th version of the PureGrit, which, if you remember and you watched these reviews for a long time, I loved version 1. It was actually one of the very first trail shoes that I ever ran in and raced in. My first 50K was in the PureGrit 1. Then they went and did the PureGrit 2, which I just won't even talk about. And then I reviewed the PureGrit 3, which I actually really liked. I actually liked it better than version 2 and better than version 1. It turned out to be a pretty damn good trail shoe. Then came the PureGrit 4, which I have, and realized I didn't review. So before I even get to reviewing the PureGrit 5, I'm going to review the PureGrit 4 real quick. The PureGrit 4 is fine. It's pretty good. It's actually a lot like the PureGrit 3, but with some durability issues. And that's it for my review of the PureGrit 4. So let's get on with the review of this bad boy here, the PureGrit 5. Now the question with any of the PureGrit series has always been, how does it compare to the previous versions of the shoe? Is it better? What's been weird with this shoe, the PureGrit, is that almost every version has changed in some considerable way to make it better, sometimes worse. It's always felt like, hey, here's what's working. Let's mess with it. So yes, the PureGrit 5 definitely fits in the PureGrit family. It has its weirdness. It's still a responsive, nimble trail runner, catering to those neutral runners. Plenty of ground feel with even more protection, but we still have some sizing and fit limitations with the upper. Basically, every version of the shoe has somehow changed, so you're just completely inconsistent. Just comparing the 5 to the 4, the upper's obviously different, the materials are different, the overlays are extremely different, the nav band is gone, which is a good thing, but it's replaced by something else. The outsole is kind of the same, the arch support quite a bit different, a little bit more stability on the 5. You know what, let's just get on with this thing. I'm going to tell you all about the things that I like and dislike about the PureGrit 5. Starting with things that I like. Responsive. Not all trail shoes are meant to be super cushioned. I've reviewed cushioned trail shoes before. There is a place for a more responsive, nimble, succinct trail shoe that allows you to jump around technical terrain with ease without feeling cumbersome padding underneath your foot. This is really great in more technical terrain, specifically dry, rocky terrain. The ballistic rock plate that's in the midsole material is very helpful in keeping your foot protected. As far as responsive trail shoes go, I can compare this to the Mazama, also from Brooks, the Sense Pro 2 from Salomon. They're all kind of in the same vein, but not all shoes are created equal. Grippy. The outsole on this continues with the hexagonal lugs, which I actually really enjoy. The durability is really good on them, but the grip factor is through the roof, especially on dry terrain. If you're running around in mud and a little bit more wet conditions, you're going to have a bit more trouble getting grip, especially on logs and mud puddles. But down here in Southern California, we don't really have that currently, so I've only run a little bit in the Pacific Northwest in this shoe, but overall, on drier conditions, the thing just grips. It's great. Durable. I'm actually happy to say that this shoe is more durable than the previous version. I was getting some fraying up in the upper, especially on the lateral side of the shoe at the fold point. Happy to report that here, with this thick welded overlay, it's almost a rubberized plastic material, you're getting a lot more durability out of the shoe, and that continues down to the outsole, not getting a lot of wear out there either, which is great. And finally, nav band redesign. Version 4 continued with the nav band, which just gets in the way, doesn't really contribute to a better fit. It's annoying. They changed it. Finally, but they didn't get rid of it. The nav band now is a small piece of webbing inlaid into this welded upper material. Whether or not it actually contributes to a tighter feel, I'm going to report that it doesn't. So the nav band is still there. It's smaller, less cumbersome. They're making progress and just getting rid of it altogether, which is a good thing. All that being said, there are a number of things I still dislike about the PureGrit 5. Let's get on with those. Narrow. The upper is narrow in the midfoot, like by a lot. Even comparing it to the previous version in the same size shoe, the previous version actually gives you a bit more toe space at the front end. It may not seem like a lot, but a little goes a long way in this shoe. You're losing toe space and width. It's a real bummer in a shoe where a previous version felt wide and now it just doesn't. So they're doing something in there, and I'm thinking of specific with materials in the upper that are causing a more constrictive fit. Speaking of fit. The ankle collar on this bad boy is thick, and yes, it's padded, but it's so thick that the fit becomes a problem. Adjusting the laces here, also a nightmare. Because of this welded overlay, which is extremely thick and not very pliable, it's really difficult to get in there and adjust the laces, adjust the tightness across the midfoot. The shoe becomes quite cumbersome, specifically around the ankle area. That, in combination with the narrowness of the upper, makes for an oddly fitting shoe where your normal size, you may not be correct. If you are going to try this on, you may want to go up a half size. That's not a full size. So they don't make this shoe very easy to fit on your foot. And that's a problem. Heavy. Now, a lot of people have mentioned in the comments, weight shouldn't matter. The problem is that it does matter. Even though we might be talking about grams or ounces here, that all contributes, especially on longer runs, climbing mountains, on varying terrain where you need to have quick footwork. So get used to it. I'm going to talk about weight and why it's a detriment to the shoe. 10.7 ounces in size 11. It's a couple grams. 3 grams lighter than the previous version, PureGrit 4, which is great. we lost a little bit of weight, but it's nearly half an ounce heavier than the PureGrit 3, which is just, it's still mind-blowing that it's so much heavier than a previous version. And finally, with dislikes, looks. This won't matter to a lot of you. It matters to me, even if slightly. The looks of the shoe aren't the best. This is the only color version that I've been able to find, and it's just like, it's boring, scary, odd. It's like dark blue with shiny blue overlays and this gray weird green. I don't get it. I don't necessarily like it. And that is it for dislikes. Overall, I did have fun running in this shoe. There were moments when I was like, oh, this shoe is just like a previous version. I actually really like it. But then there were other moments where I was cursing the clouds because it fit weird. It was cumbersome. I felt like the shoe wasn't working with me and was rather working against me. This shoe will definitely come down to you and how it fits your foot. I encourage you to go give it a shot. With that said, let's get on with the points. Quality, I'm going to give it 4 out of 5. I think the shoe brings really good elements to the table as far as durability, quality of materials. It's just the execution of all of those put together. There's a little bit of a miss. 4 out of 5. Comfort, didn't think this was the most comfortable shoe purely because of the upper and the fitment there, so I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 on comfort. Price, at $120, that's pretty standard with the trail shoe, and I think you'll get more miles out of this than other shoes that I've reviewed, so I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 on price. And looks, like I said, not the greatest looks. I am going to round up a little bit because I believe there will be another color version coming out that's a little bit better, so I'm going to give it 3 out of 5. I know some of you guys like ugly shoes, so hey, more power to you. That brings our grand total to 14 out of 20. Not a terrible score, but also not a great score. There's still room to improve. After 5 versions, there's still ways that they can make this shoe better, and that's by going back to the basics and things that they had in previous versions and just keeping those. Not changing too much. Brooks is having a real heyday just changing this shoe from the bottom up every single version. I'm excited to see version 6. I've heard it's going to have wheels, and you'll be able to use it as a cup. So finally, is this shoe a buy, try, or a why? I'm going to give it a solid try. Because of the pedigree that Brooks PureGrit comes from, I encourage you to at least try it. If you can find previous versions on sale, give it a shot, especially version 3. The PureGrit 5 is definitely worth a shot, at least getting your foot in it to see how it fits. Remember to size up. So that's it for today's review. If you guys have any more questions about the PureGrit 5 or you want to find out how you can get one for yourself, there's a link in the description that will take you over to Running Warehouse where you'll be able to use the coupon code as well to hopefully get 10% off a large majority of items in the store. Check it out. In the comments below, have you tried this shoe? What do you think about it? I am curious to hear your opinions. If you like this review, make sure that you like, favorite, and subscribe to this channel, youtube.com/thegingerrunner, posting 2 videos every single week. And also make sure to follow me across social media on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course the website, gingerrunner.com. And don't forget, every single Monday, live shows at 6 p.m. Pacific. And of course, if you want to help keep the lights on and the mics hot here, visit patreon.com/thegingerrunner. Helps keep the channel alive. Now get out there, train hard, race harder, party the hardest. I know I am. We'll see you guys next week. Bye!